Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K, the show where we're on the hunt to find 100 different ways to make 100 grand in a month. I can't wait to introduce you to a very special entrepreneur, the CEO, not founder, of an advertising agency called Cairns Oneil. Now, when he started as CEO, they were at 30 employees. Now they're sitting a little bit above 60. Now we're going to dive into some of the things that he's implemented, some of the things that he's learned, and a few of the chapters along the journey that took him here and took the company to where it is today. So ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to introduce you to our very special guest, Devon MacDonald.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, it's an honor, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. Maybe you could give us a little bit of an intro on who's Devon MacDonald. You know, we bump into you in an elevator. You know, maybe we're walking down St. Lawrence Market and I'm like, hey, man, nice glasses. Like, what's your name? You know, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, Torontonian, husband, father, working in advertising, but an innately curious person who loves to observe things, try things, do things. Also an avid cyclist and enjoy exercising.
What's the farthest bike ride you've gone on?
In a single setting?
Yeah.
Oh, probably 200 kilometers.
Wow. Okay. So Devon's ready to go the distance.
Yeah.
If we've learned one thing about him, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thank you for taking the time to be here. It's truly an honor. I'm excited to dive into some of the chapters, some of the things that have happened along Devon's journey that make the Devon that we see today.
It's great. Well, I'm excited to share with yourself and the listeners, and to teach people that there's many ways to make money.
Yeah. So do you remember the first time you made 100 grand in a year?
Well, as a person, I do.
Okay.
And so I started my career a while ago. And when I did that, I was a computer programmer. And I did database design and other coding. And I started working for consulting firms. Mm-hmm. And I moved to IBM near the end of my time in the technology world. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was a big deal.
What year was this at the time, roughly?
That would have been probably 2005, 2004.
Okay.
When I did that.
All right, so I was like 9.
Yeah, you were 9.
Maybe 10.
And I was, 19 years younger.
Okay.
And so...
Still a great, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, if you if you're ever considering some other opportunities, we got some modeling that you might be able to do.
Very generous of you.
Yeah.
But no, that was it was a big threshold.
Yeah.
In income and helpful. I had 2 young kids and or about to have start a family, and I knew I needed to make some more money.
Wow.
So yeah.
And was that the first time that you felt like, okay, I have to do more? Or do you think that was something that was always in you?
Great question. I think it's something that's always been in me, but absolutely as I got married, as we were planning to have children, I said, okay, some things that are coming up are expensive and I need to generate some money and earn more. But I've always been a pretty driven individual and pretty focused on developing myself and working hard. It comes from a family. I come from a family with a solid work ethic and was taught to work hard and to apply myself as often as I could to succeed.
Now, before we dive too deep into Devon's story, maybe for some of the listeners, you could just give us kind of like an overview of what Cairns Oneil is, what they do, and then we'll continue in the story because they're probably going to be listening for like an hour, right? So we at least want to give them a little bit of a teaser.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
So Cairns Oneil is an independently owned Toronto-based media agency. There's many different agencies.
Okay.
And so a media agency focuses on the placement of advertising within media properties. It could be a television commercial, could be a TikTok, could be an ad, could be search.
Okay.
And so we partner with brands in Canada who want to get their message or their offer or their promotion out to different audiences across the country. Being an independent, we are independently owned and operated. It was founded by Cairns and Oneil and myself as the leader of the company now and as a part owner of the company. We look to expand our services with clients as the needs of media change, which seems like every day.
Every day, man. It's crazy. So you didn't just go from IBM and about to have 2 kids to the CEO of a company with 60 people. So like, let's take a little bit of a backtrack and let's
yeah, there's a few steps there. And so I love my time at IBM.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the biggest challenges and most complex problems I'd ever faced in business were there.
Yeah. Do you think some of those problems that you were solving back then are still, like, the solutions and the way that you went about finding the solutions are still, critical for you to this day?
Yeah, the consultant problem-solving mindset, there's a distinct method and formulas that you learn about how to approach problem solving, how to ask questions, and how to support clients.
Interesting.
And there are lessons that I apply to our business today and to our clients and to our teams.
Yeah.
And have really helped me a lot.
Now, what would you say some of those are? So my brother, right? He's just graduating high school.
Yeah.
And I don't know how valuable the things that I learned in high school were, but I know there was a couple key takeaways. So for example, like y equals mx plus b, right? Like, or f at x. Mm-hmm. That formula alone has like powered my whole life, right? It's like everything is a function. If you could understand the inputs, you could get the outputs, right? Yeah. So you change x and you change your outcome. And like, that was probably one of the most impactful things I think from high school that I learned. But I'm curious. There was tons in university, tons in my first job. But what were some of those key takeaways that you
for
say?
IBM and being a consultant, a strategy consultant, you learn frameworks.
Okay.
And there could be gap analysis as a framework. Mm-hmm. It could be change management and how to approach those pieces. It could be implementation of a complex problem or system. Mm-hmm. And they're very transferable across solutions and across industries. But the most important thing I realized and learned is, frankly, with technology, anything is possible. You can connect any item with any other item through technology. And it really resonated with me and helped me understand that really anything is possible.
Interesting. And so like, how did, I know it's a little bit of a left turn, but like, how did having kids kind of change your motivation and change like your drive and your hunger and your ambition?
I mean, as any parent will tell you, more than they had ever imagined. It changes your whole world and whole sense of purpose in becoming a parent.
Yeah.
And in making your own mistakes and successes and thinking, oh my goodness, how am I responsible for someone else? I'm barely responsible for myself. Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And my kids are getting older now and into university and whatnot, and making some of their own mistakes and learning their own lessons, and also venturing out in the world on their own. So it's a very, very proud moment for sure.
Congrats. It sounds like they're almost off the production line.
Almost. But it's funny because as they prepare for school or their careers, talking to them about my career or my wife's career, their mom's career, there's so many decisions and so many opportunities in front of people. And one mistake I think that happens in education is that people are forced into a stream early. Whereas I'm sure as you go through the podcast and talk to different people, many people don't have a solid long-term plan about their career.
100%.
Because there are so many opportunities that come your way. And I think that's the most important thing too. I mentioned earlier about being curious and about wanting to learn. And if you keep your eyes open wide enough, you'll see opportunity all the time.
Everywhere. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll dive into some of the opportunities that you see in the marketplace, but we'll wait till we get, closer to the current chapter. Sure. What were some of the opportunities that you were seeing back then? So, and what did you think about the future for Devon, maybe even before you graduated? Like, I'm guessing you studied some sort of business, IT, some of those lines.
So in university, I took political science, and then I took computer programming.
Got it.
And so political science is really the structure of political science is really understanding how different structures make decisions. And it's very helpful for me in my work today when I'm evaluating a company and understanding how budgets are set, or do they have a CMO? Where does it report into? Does their VP of marketing report into the VP of sales? Those structural changes and setups tell us a lot about how a company's going to behave.
Interesting.
Now, computer programming and getting into that was a real hard skill. I realized I needed a hard skill. When I graduated from school, Ontario was in a recession. Canada was in a recession. And so I took the time to go back to school again and to learn a hard skill, which was programming. And it was something that came pretty naturally to me. So much so when I graduated, it was from a college. When I graduated, they hired me to teach the course that I'd just taken.
Wow. Like right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was pretty fortunate because I had another role with a consulting firm. So I was able to work during the day at the consulting firm and then teach at night and the weekends.
Wow.
And so that's about having opportunity and taking it.
But why were you working so hard back then? Like we were talking about your ambition changing once kids, started becoming a possibility and like a real consideration. But if like, I'm assuming at this point they weren't around.
Goodness,
right?
no. I was single. I was living in the city. My wife and I were just starting to date then.
Yeah.
And I was playing golf and going out and cycling.
Okay.
Always been cycling. But it's funny because I was thinking about this earlier today. When I was growing up, my parents were both professionals.
Okay.
But there was something that I would ask for something, and they would say, "Well, Devon, when you're 25 and you have a place of your own, you can do whatever you want. But until then, you follow our rules."
Wow.
And so it was annoying at the time, for sure. And I say that to my kids now, and they're annoyed by it.
Yeah.
But it taught me and motivated me to own my own home. And so I did by the time I was 25. So that's why I was working as hard as I was.
Got it.
And doing what I could do to save money. It was cheaper to buy a property then.
Still hard though.
Still hard.
Yeah.
Relatively. And, it really motivated me to do that.
That's really cool. So now that happened, I'm guessing, when you made the first 100K in a year in IBM, for example.
No, that was before.
Before IBM.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was before. And, I of course have had lots of help and people helped me out along the way, but, I wanted to make as much money as I possibly could and work as hard as I possibly could as well.
So where did that end up taking you? So, so what ended up happening next?
Yeah. So, I worked with that consulting firm first. It was called EDS. And then I ran another company that provided technology services to not-for-profits in Canada.
Okay, so you were working and running another company at the same time?
New job.
New job, okay.
New job.
Got it.
And I got to meet and work with hundreds of organizations across the country in understanding what they were doing and help them with their technology needs, whether it's primarily hardware and software, but networking, some consulting, and helping them set up. Because I realized that access to technology is important for success.
Still a very prominent theme, throughout life, even more so. The divide in access for people and having the knowledge about how systems or machines work is critical to survive as a person in navigating whether it's government systems or banking or whatnot. Yeah.
But it was from that role that I moved into IBM.
Okay.
And my salary increased.
Nice.
And it was good timing. It was good timing. Like I said, the work I did at IBM was some of the most interesting stuff I did, and the people I got to work with were incredible practitioners and professionals. But it also required a lot of travel.
Okay.
And I needed a little more consistency in my life and needed to stop flying as much as I could. Flying can be very glamorous for work.
Yeah.
But it is work.
The first 3 times.
The first 3 times after, I don't know how many segments I would have had in a year, but a lot.
Yeah.
It gets tiring. And so I needed a regular job, and I had lots of friends. I use air quotes, regular job. I have lots of friends in the marketing industry. And I told them I was thinking about it. They said, Devon, you would love it. And I worked for a creative agency that was digitally focused, but producing content for digital and working on digital systems and data systems.
So this is what, 10, 15 years ago?
This is 15, 17 years ago, around there.
Now, what does digital look like at that time? Because digital at this time looks like the phone screen or the computer screen that people are watching this on.
Yeah.
But at that time, what did digital like?
At that time, digital, what was really being talked about is how information is going to be consumed mostly through video.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of that. And it might seem strange to say that now, but we have 5G now. We have 5 internet or whatever not. available. But before, streaming video and video content was difficult to access. And so the idea that, a real estate agent should put a YouTube video about their home that they're selling was new. It didn't exist. YouTube was becoming a new platform, but vertical video or phone-based video, I don't even think it existed.
No, not at all.
Then. So that would have been new then. But then also starting with lead gen online and getting people to go to websites. Everyone built a website for everything.
Yeah.
It was a little clunky for sure. And the digital ecosystem that a brand would have was complex, messy, and expensive to operate because it was so many disparate pieces. But a fascinating group because in my time at IBM, my clients became sales and marketing departments. That's when I was first exposed to sales and marketing. And in going into a creative agency, working with marketing departments was a natural step for me in getting to be closer to clients and closer to problem solving.
Okay, interesting. So how did you like that agency world?
It's completely different.
Yeah.
At IBM, I wore a black or blue suit every day and with a white shirt. I still have a lot of black and blue suits, but just out of habit.
And now you got cooler shirts though.
Cooler shirts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I loved it because the energy and creativity around was so inspiring to see. It's a whole different realm of professional in a whole different world that I hadn't really been exposed to.
Yeah.
But it was there that I first got my taste of a media agency.
Okay.
Because I was always hunting for data and always hunting for information in my time at IBM. But it was at my time at the creative agency where I first learned about media agencies. Because I was always hunting for information and hunting for data. And the media agencies at the time would come out with Excel spreadsheets that were hundreds of lines long and were on version 71 of a blocking chart. And I looked at that and said, that's opportunity. And I just parked that in my head for down the road. I did leave that firm and went to a different creative agency, which was fantastic. And even more focused on creativity, less on the digital side of things. Again, worked with some amazing professionals. Yeah. So leading global organization. And so you get to work with leading global brands who are operating in Canada.
Yeah.
And from there, I had an opportunity to go to a different agency to be a part of the leadership of the strategy team and to create a new agency.
Interesting.
And that was a real opportunity. And again, I've jumped through my career a couple of times, but my first wave was in technology. My second wave was in creative. And my third wave is now in media.
Creative technology.
Yes. And so I was able to be in a great position where a storied network agency was looking to innovate and was looking to add services into their offering.
Interesting.
And I had the opportunity to work with a brand that was work with an agency brand that was very successful in the United States, work with them for a few months in their office, and build their same model here in Canada.
Interesting.
So I got to be a bit of an entrepreneur within an ecosystem, an entrepreneur or an incubated offering. Yeah. Where I had access to this network's clients and talent and people and resources and accounting and whatnot, but I could just start. And you start by selling one project at a time, one client at a time. And I was very proud of the work that we did. And, we started as one, and then we hired one other person. And by the time I left, which was a short 18 months later, unfortunately, but we had grown to 18 people. Wow. And we were generating $100K a month in revenue. Nice. But it was a great opportunity to learn how to run a company within an operating company, which is within a holding company. Interesting. Which is a different structure in advertising. Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I worked for some great entrepreneurs there and learned so much from them. The people who founded the US company, the people who founded and sold their company within Canada. Wow. I got to work with these entrepreneurs, and really learn some great business sense and skills from them about how to set up a company and how to run a company. It was tremendously helpful.
How did that shift like your perspective at the time? Because you're in IBM, you're in these other agencies working, and I remember when I was working, right, like I had this perspective on work and what it should be and what it was, and like I knew everything, right, because I'm like 18, right? You know everything at 18.
You know everything.
I'm sure your kids know everything, right? They're around that age, right? Yeah. They're probably geniuses. Not to like downplay anything, but like seriously, they're probably smart as hell, just like my brother. Like, it's like you're 18, you know everything.
They're very smart. It's just how they apply themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had this perspective, and then when I got into the world, you know, I kept seeing things as one way, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh man, I'm doing my own thing, right?
Yeah.
And then my perspective changes, and then now I start thinking back to all these other experiences, and I'm like, I could have approached them differently. I learned some cool lessons here that now I'm applying to what it is that I'm doing. Let's see how I take these going forward. You know, how did your perspective kind of shift as you went through some of these roles? What were some of those things that you learned?
I've always been a leader, and whether it's in sports or organizing trips for friends, or work in leading teams or groups. And I'd run a company earlier, as I mentioned, but running this agency really helped me grow and see the potential of how to build something yourself.
Interesting.
Which really appealed to me. And I had learned from these other entrepreneurs who built their own agencies into these huge organizations.
Yeah, and they're just regular people, right?
Regular people who are trying hard and applying themselves. And I recognized in myself that, oh yeah, I want to run my own place, but I have more to learn.
Okay.
And the reason I left, even though we were successful, is I had an opportunity to join a different media agency.
Okay.
A large.
So you're just like getting poached by a media agency from media place to media place.
I was getting poached a lot.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to leave, but I saw opportunity, and I always thought about what could I learn. And I recognized early in myself and my career that I really love two things.
Okay.
And that's leading and learning. And I realized I was able to reflect to say, well, if I was frustrated at work, I would ask myself a question. Oh, are you leading or learning? And if I wasn't, I knew it was time to take the phone call from the recruiter or whatnot to try something else. And so while I was running this agency, and back to my aha moment looking at those spreadsheets with version 71.
Still looking at spreadsheets to this day.
Yep. I realized that all the data was with the media agencies.
Okay.
And so I had a chance to join one of the world's leading media agencies to be the number 2 in the company.
Cool.
And to take over that company in Canada eventually. That was a succession plan.
This was Mindshare?
Mindshare.
Okay.
Yeah, a great organization.
Yeah.
And my wife at the time said, wait, you run a company, you like that. You're going to quit. You're going to go to an industry you don't really know about, and you're not going to run the company. I'm like, yeah, that is the plan, because I want to learn more. Yeah,
but when you look on paper, like that's a step backwards though. Like
step backwards.
You know, how did you process that? And what framework did you use? I guess it was the Am I Learning or Am I Leading framework.
Yes.
That really was the basis of that decision, right?
It absolutely was. And so I still have lots to learn, and I had lots to learn in that role, but I knew I could learn even more by moving to the media side. And I saw in media, again, so much opportunity with technology and in data. To work with a firm like Mindshare that has incredible global credentials and clients, and incredible clients in Canada and teams, was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
So there's a role cut, right? Like there, you go from leading to now, being
number 2.
It's number 2, right?
Sure.
Was there a pay cut at the time?
No.
Okay.
Pay increase.
Pay
so that
increase.
Helps.
Okay.
Right? That helps. Different size organization.
Okay.
So pay increase, and again, being able to learn.
Would you have taken it if it wasn't a pay increase?
Yes.
Okay.
I would have.
Interesting. Because I'm almost curious around that thought of like, okay, like even right now, for example, right? Like I'm not qualified, to make it, like in a job sense, to make the money that I'm making now.
Yeah.
Like there's no job that I would apply for that's going to pay me as much as whatever. Right. But now I'm like, oh, there's so many things that I want to learn, and I won't have access to that information unless I take a pause, unless there's sacrifices, right? Like, it's like, what are you willing to give up? And I'm just kind of curious about like that stage of life, man.
Well, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Everyone needs more money.
Yeah.
Everyone wants more money. And I've certainly had past employees who are watching this to say, yeah, Devon, I quit for more money.
I quit because I got to pay. Someone offered me more, right?
But
yeah.
I think the way I looked at it was total opportunity.
Okay.
And I really mean that. Okay. Money is important, and I needed money.
Yeah.
I have kids and mortgage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Still do. But I could learn more. I could grow my career more. And I knew if I, with the understanding technology, understanding the creative world, and if I could learn the media world, I would really understand so much more about marketing, so much more about business, and it would really help me in the long run.
And when you say help you in the long run, did you have kind of like an objective that you were going after? Was there like a North Star for you?
To run my own company.
To run your own shop. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And that would have been it. But I didn't know what field it would be in. I didn't know what type of company, but I knew that by learning more with such a large scale organization and in a high profile position, and then moving into that CEO role, I knew I could learn a ton.
Okay.
And my opportunities would be even wider.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. Now you're a guy who's been elected CEO, not once, but what now? Twice. So like number one, it doesn't really happen by accident. But what was that kind of like? A lot of the people I think you're the second guest on the show so far that's been elected CEO. The other is Lori Nickel from Second Harvest. Shout out Lori if you're watching. She's awesome.
Great organization.
And she took it from low multi-millions of pounds of food, and the most recent year they did 75 million pounds of food donated in 1 year, which is like more than 100,000 pounds of food in a day when you think about it, right?
Crazy.
Wild. Right?
Well, wild they can accomplish so much,
Exactly.
and wild that there's so much need. It's,
and I think they're doing great work. But
they are doing great.
So what was it at Mindshare when you started in that role? And like, I think you mentioned that organization was massive, right? And multinational.
Yeah. And so I ran the Canadian division of Mindshare.
You started the Canadian division?
No. I ran the mini.
Okay.
It's a very storied company.
Okay.
It would have been about 20 years old when I joined. And both with Mindshare and at Cairns Oneil, what I really benefited from was generous leaders with their time who wanted me to succeed and move into the leadership roles.
Okay.
And so I had that at Mindshare first. And leaders within the global organization and my boss in Canada who wanted me to succeed. So they gave me time. They took extra time to teach me, and I was about different processes and components of the business.
And is that the only thing that they needed to, like, how did they express that? Like, so often, especially now, like I just hired my first manager, right? And it's very easy to point out things that go wrong, but it's not necessarily easy unless you're cognizant of it to compliment people on the things that they do well. Especially like, let's say they do 100 things and like 95 of them are right and there's 5 that are wrong. It's very easy to say like, hey, these 5 things need to be adjusted, but there's still so many things that they did well. But if they don't hear it, they might not necessarily know the good job that they're doing, for example. Now you just mentioned that you had some leaders that kind of believed in you. They let you know some of the things that they want. They're grooming you, to and like have like some form of transition or path.
For sure.
How did they express that, and how do you express that in others?
Well, you said a word compliment, and I'm going to use the word compliment in a different way.
Okay, tell me.
Because in interviewing for the Mindshare role, I actually stopped during the interview process to say, wait a second, I don't know anything about what you do or your world. Why do you want to hire me?
Yeah.
There's so many fantastic people in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, you do have good glasses though, right? So
good
like
glasses, that helped.
Yeah.
But they said, well, Devon, yes, we have lots of people who know lots about media, but we don't have anyone who knows what you know.
Okay.
And you can complement our team and help our team grow. And that to me was an invitation for me to learn from them and from them to learn from me.
And what did you know at the time? Was it the technology side?
Back in the technology side and the data side of things and how to connect pieces together.
Okay.
And that consultant mindset of problem solving.
Okay.
And so as a manager, what that taught me and what my advice to you too is to recognize that everyone has different skills. You have to appreciate them and make the most out of them. No two people are the same in skills, mindset, personality, or anything. And so when you recognize people's strengths and find them and utilize them, you'll be way better off as a person, boss, employee, company, everything.
Huh. And that's really cool. So thank you for sharing. So you're at Mindshare.
I'm at Mindshare, and I knew for my plan to really succeed as I became CEO, I really needed to learn the financial side of the business.
And how did you know that? Was it just a gut feeling?
A gut feeling.
Okay.
It was a bit of a blind spot for me.
Okay.
I'm good with math and good with data, but finance is a whole other world and a whole other career.
Yeah.
It was a large organization.
Okay.
And, in terms of total sales that would move through that company in a year, all media and whatnot, it would be about $500 million.
Okay.
Now, a lot of that is for media purchases.
Okay.
And our revenue from that would be in, the mid double digit or mid 8-figure millions.
So what does this mean, say? Media purchases? What do you?
So we're buying media. Mindshare is buying media on behalf of clients.
Okay.
And so we have media budgets. Some clients, it could be 100 million.
Okay.
Some clients, it could be only 1 million.
Okay.
It's weird to media when you say only 1 million,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But
Small fries.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had great financial systems and great financial operators. And I was fortunate to have as a business partner a great CFO, a chief financial officer, who we both recognized we could learn a lot from each other. I from him in learning about financial world, and he from me in learning about the technology and product development world. And we became great partners in building services and adding clients at Mindshare. And had a lot of fun and a lot of success.
There you go, back with complementation again. Yeah.
Well, as a leader, you can't do it alone. You need to have vision, you need to have purpose, and you need to operate by a set of values, but you cannot do it alone. You need the whole team to be with you.
100%.
And so I really learned a ton there. And also while I was there, I had the chance to work with an executive coach and leadership coach who helped me tremendously with my mindset, learning more empathy, and learning how to be a better leader, really.
Yeah.
And so it was a great unlock for me.
So how do you be a better leader? And I know it's a very vague question without context, right? But let's say, for instance, your kid was running, they just got hired as a manager for the first time, fresh out of school. I know that's not very likely. Usually they start in some form of technical role, but let's say they were to work in like some form of management type of role, right? And they're like, I was just a star on my team. How now, I was once a great individual contributor, and now I'm transitioning into a leader. What types of things would you suggest
Well, one, it's very important to recognize just because you're a great practitioner doesn't mean you're going to be a great leader.
Two completely different skills.
And unfortunately, what happens in advertising way too often is great practitioners are promoted to be leaders. And they're terrible leaders. It happens all the time.
Okay.
And so they're distinct skills that you have to develop over time. I still have a lot to learn as a leader.
Okay.
And I have a lot of growth to accomplish still. And I want to get better. So if you're becoming a manager for a first time, don't be a jerk. You might want to be hard on people. You might want to show them who's boss.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
They still have their own problems. They still have their own opportunities. They still have their own skills. And you were just in their shoes a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, literally.
Take it easy, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, you have to bring people along. And no matter where you are in an organization as a leader, whether you're running it or a first-time manager,
Yeah.
you have to guide people. There are lanes or guidelines for any role,
Yeah.
but you also have to give people opportunity and hope to do more.
Now you mentioned this executive coach taught you some crucial things, right? They were very instrumental in your career at that time. What do you think you were before that executive coach, and what do you think you turned into after? And like why?
At times, I shudder to think about what kind of leader I was before.
Okay.
I genuinely do.
Okay.
And that, I'm very driven, and I would be a driver type leader before,
Okay.
and get things done no matter what. I might still be that now. I'm not sure, but it really helped me. Working with the coach really helped me see other people's perspectives and how they might approach things, and to think about that first. And it's funny, in consulting or in advertising and working with clients, I do that all the time, and think about a client's problem from their perspective and what they're facing. But I hadn't really done it much as a manager. And it really helped me build better relationships with my teams and people.
Yeah.
And really taught me to think about, well, how can I help them achieve their dreams and goals? And when I know what they are and they achieve them, things are going to work out a lot better.
Yeah.
And so as I lead now, I view my role and what I do is to help people achieve their ambition and to help them accomplish whatever they want to accomplish.
What about from the CFO? You know, what type of lessons did you walk away with from there? Because I know you mentioned you guys were complementing each other really well. You taught him a lot about the product and like from like a product mind and a product lens, and he taught you a lot from like a finance lens and the CFO hat, right? Like what were some of the things that you still remember to this day? You were just printing out spreadsheets. I'm sure there's something on that spreadsheet that you're like, man, I remember Mark from accounting taught me something crazy.
For sure. So I like to work with paper to really absorb things.
Man, I'm not judging. You run a digital agency, you work with paper. That's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's fine. But what I was able to learn from the CFO is I would say, well, here's what I want to build, or here's what I want to make.
Okay.
How do we do that within our financial system? How do we do that within our budget? How do we manage the resources we have to accomplish this? Oh, here's how you do that. He had the answer every time.
Really?
Or had the problem-solving mindset to work things through.
Yeah.
And in managing a budget within a large multinational organization, there's a lot of expectations to manage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of signals you can send inadvertently or deliberately in budget management that you have to be very careful with.
Okay.
And he was able to help me learn those pieces and navigate them. And really generous with his time, and we just really enjoyed working with each other.
Yeah, I think that's been a theme so far from what you've kind of shared, is the generosity with people that are, you know, at different stages of their journey and being willing to share. So again, I appreciate you taking the time and being so generous.
No problem.
To share with us, the future generation, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the platforms.
Yeah.
Right. So this is going to be really cool. It's like we're putting this conversation in a bottle and saving it for the future, you know?
It's fun.
Yeah.
And so my time at MindShare came to an end, and I had a new opportunity to join Cairns Oneil.
Well, that must have been wild, running like a multi 8-figure like operation, right? And at the time when you joined Cairns Oneil, what was kind of like the size in comparison?
It'd be a decimal different.
Okay.
And more or less.
Yeah.
And even the type of money at MindShare that would be flowing through, it's hard to have context as an individual person when you think about managing your bank account to the type of money that flows through. You lose perspective of what the money really is and means. The money is very important, but it's hard to understand it.
Yeah.
And so, Cairns Oneil is a smaller organization, but I saw here, for me, opportunity to build.
Okay.
And when I joined, Cairns Oneil was moving into its 11th year. Great reputation, great staff, great clients. And I saw in that a foundation to add to.
Okay.
But the scale difference was different.
Yeah.
It was, much smaller. I enjoy that, and I realized for myself as an individual, I'd worked at huge places like Mindshare, like BBDO, like IBM, large international companies that helped me a lot, and I learned a lot. But I realized I didn't need that in my career to be successful. And going to an independent, I would much rather work at a place where I could create and implement my own vision
Okay.
with my team and with my clients. It's very fulfilling to me. And yes, it's risky. It's very fulfilling, but to me, I find it very rewarding.
How did you find this place?
They found me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is people just sliding in your LinkedIn DMs all day saying, hey,
Basically.
man. Yeah. Okay.
Basically.
and
yeah. And I knew of them by reputation, but
Okay.
not as individuals.
okay.
And it was during COVID, so a weird time.
Yeah.
We had meetings in parks on fold-out chairs.
Nice.
And
Those are the best meetings, man.
they were great. Bring a coffee and just talk. But they wanted to hear from me. They were looking for new leadership in their company as they moved on to new phases of their career, which is retirement. And they were looking for someone who could create and manage a vision to continue the legacy of the agency.
So when someone brings you in, or let's say you bring someone in to be a leader, how the existing leader has a vision, you as the new leader have a vision. How do you start the discussion to merge and compromise? Because I'm sure you had a place where you wanted to take it, and like you're in the driver's seat now, so you're driving. They still had a vision. They still had a destination that they wanted to go. And together it might be worse. Together it might be better. Yeah. Hopefully better, likely better. Yeah. Or else probably wouldn't be
much
here,
better.
I'm curious.
But so the most important thing is that you're right. Those things do not always line up.
Yeah.
But you really have to uncover what people really want.
Okay.
And what do they really want to accomplish or really want to do. And what is their vision? If the mistake a lot of leaders make coming into a company is thinking they need to blow it up.
Yeah.
Turn it around. Fire everybody.
Yeah.
Change everything. It's a critical mistake that so many people make, in that there are great people in those organizations, or in this organization, or anyone going into a company or team who've built it to what it is. So you need to respect it and understand it first before you change anything. And even just explaining that to the founders, Cairns and Oneil, I think went a long way. But I also explained to them, I had to produce a plan for them about what I would do.
Wow.
And that led into a lot of discovery for me to understand, what do they have in place? What systems do they have? What does reporting look like? What does a strategic plan look like? And understanding, okay, where are they? And what do I think I could do with it? And then articulating it back to the founders to say, well, here's what I would do.
Wow.
And here's the time frame I would do it in.
How long was this process? Like, because this is part of an interview, right? So, but it's not like it's
the chats in the park.
Yeah,
it took a few months.
Months. So it was like
months.
Okay, so this was not like a quick thing, and it's like, okay, this guy's the guy.
No, it should take. You should never rush into things like that.
Yeah,
and it should take time. And neither of us were in a rush, so that it really helped.
Yeah.
And there are critical decisions to make, so you need to get it right. As you go through your podcast and talk to other leaders, you'll talk to people, I'm sure, you'll come across stories of people who hired presidents or made someone a CEO or brought in a leader, and it was a disaster. That's most often the case.
Really?
It is.
Okay.
Because people aren't aligned on values or vision. And it's tough. The other thing for me, which I was upfront about, is, if I have a vision and if I have a plan, I want to run it. And I was clear with them, and they were, again, great partners in succeeding control of their company to me, the new guy. Yeah. Which is massive.
It's huge.
It takes a lot of courage on their part to do so. But it's been a big part of our success. And to build on what they had and to take it in a new direction, you do, you do need, I was a new leader to do that.
Yeah. Now, is this something, I don't mean to get like this personal. Did you buy this? Like, cool.
No, it's fine. So,
Yeah.
I'm a part owner of the company.
Got it.
I'm a shareholder in the company.
Yeah.
I do not own the whole thing.
Understood.
And, I'm a part owner of the company.
That's cool. It never crossed my mind till now. I'm like, oh wait, but you got hired, you got headhunted, but wait, now it's like invitation to partner.
Correct.
Like that's cool.
That's also part of the why it takes months. Because
Yeah.
it's one thing to interview for a job, and it's another thing to interview for a business partner.
Okay.
And a financial partner.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different
Components
and contracts and
Moving
things to go
parts.
through. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and it's obviously not a very quick process like you mentioned. So
No.
that's cool. And every company is probably different slightly in some way.
For sure. But then again, that's understanding in what I said before about really being clear for the founders or my partners, what do you really want?
Yeah.
What is it? And can you articulate it? And they were able to articulate what they wanted.
Wow.
And, there's lots of companies out there who the owners don't want to sell.
Yeah.
Or they want a president.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different setup.
That's a different setup.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned that you had a vision that you shared with them, right? Like kind of like in this dating phase, and you guys were like, do we like each other? How that vision did you then carry it and share it with the team? Or actually, before we even get to that, what types of things were included in the vision? So let's say if it was like an essay format, what would the kind of like sections be? Like, was it like, okay, here's the vision for the staff, here's the vision for the processes, here's the vision for the like when you say vision, right, like what are the different components that would be in a vision?
I'm not an essay guy. I'm more of a shapes and pictures person.
Okay. All right.
But going back to the consulting times and some of those frameworks, so gap analysis, change management, strategic framework, and strategic plan are pieces.
These are your tools.
These are my tools.
Okay.
And so a gap analysis was the first thing I had to do to understand what capabilities we have, what needed improvement on, and then having a plan about how to improve them.
Okay.
And that in presenting to them is a 90-day to 1 year thing, and then how to prioritize pieces to change.
A 90-day to 1 year thing, you said? So if you were to say, Javon, you got to do a gap analysis, what questions would you encourage me to ask myself when preparing it?
So it's first baselining capabilities to understand what you can currently do.
Okay.
And then to be able to establish what best in class is around those capabilities or skills.
Okay.
And then what are the steps you need to get to best in class or investments you need to make to get there? Because all those pieces take time and take money.
Of course.
And you can't do everything
at the same time.
You won't have, no one has enough resources to do everything they want to do for time and money. And so taking that work and understanding the benefit in the company that existed in being able to say, well, here's how I think we can improve the offering and add to the offering was a big part of that plan and my plan to them and my work for them to say what I wanted to do.
Then that was, okay, so gap analysis, change management. What was the last one?
Strategic framework. And to have a strategic business plan, there's you can Google it and look, and there's some templates and building blocks.
Are the templates good though? Like from somebody who's done it at like a very high level, are the templates that good? What do you think?
They're good enough.
Good enough. All right.
Good enough.
Yeah.
And I laugh because people often say, well, what's a template? And often, I use paper. I use sticky notes and I use blank sheets of paper. I had a meeting just today where I have to write something incredibly complex, and I just write notes on a blank sheet of paper from the printer. Okay. And that's how I get things out of my head.
That's the process.
It is the process. There's some great tools out there. They're free. Take them and use them. Yeah. And there's tutorials on YouTube if people wanted. But having done this work before with different organizations and developed other strategic plans for businesses, it was a good starting point.
Yeah. So now you get into the company, there's 30 people here. And how many years has it been since you've been running the show?
2.5.
It's been 2.5 years, and you pretty much doubled, right? Did by accident? Is it because of your glasses? Is it because you're just a cool guy? Explain.
Well, there's a number of factors.
Okay.
First and foremost, it's having people on the team and the company believe in what we're doing, which is incredibly difficult.
Especially after the vision document comes in, like you're changing things.
Well, for an organization that's had success, why do we need a new person?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's this?
Those
What's
glasses
that?
can't be that good.
What's the glasses guy going to do? Exactly.
Yeah.
And so explaining the vision to them, explaining what the process is going to be, explaining how it's going to help them and benefit them in their careers is very important for them to buy in and be a part of it. And so that's step one, and that step continues forever. Then it's also recognizing opportunity within the marketplace and within clients to add in services.
Okay.
And so we've developed a number of data products or technology products along the way, one using artificial intelligence, one using cloud software that offer our clients real value and are very desirable tools for brands. And as they try to contemporize marketing or improve their offering and how they show up to consumers, or improve the value of media to their board of directors or to their executive.
Okay.
That's what these tools do. And so developing these tools was important for us to move forward and to improve our proposition.
Now, are these tools available for consumption for regular agencies, or are they proprietary? They're only things that you can keep,
They're proprietary.
Okay.
And we sell them to our clients for them to use.
Got it.
And sometimes at a loss, because they're just good strategic components for us to have in our skill set.
Interesting.
And so broadening the skill set from media buying to media planning and strategy and data and analytics.
So
and
it started
artificial
just as media buying.
Yeah, when the company originated 13 years ago,
Yeah.
it would have been that. But you add pieces as you go.
Okay.
And it's literally one step at a time, and one hire at a time, and one new client at a time. And so with support of the existing team and by adding in new skills that complement what we have available, we've been fortunate to win new businesses and to expand remits with existing clients, which are the key to any growth plan. The existing clients, you have to take care of them.
Wow, good to know. This is so critical. And I know you're just like, this is stuff that we learned. And like, I'm like, mind blown. This is great.
This is what the team does every day.
Yeah.
And, they are tenacious professionals who want to learn and want to grow, believe in media.
Yeah.
And also want to be part of a company like this.
Yeah.
So it's a unique position for us.
What do you think made Devon the guy for Cairns and Oneil? What do you think it was that made them say, you know what, this is he's got the sauce?
I don't know. Well,
I know I didn't prepare you for this question.
No, that's a big one.
I'm just freestyling.
Yeah.
You're inspiring me with new ideas and new thoughts. So figured I'd ask.
I think they saw in me someone who had the passion for the business and the drive for the business to take their business to a different level and to continue their legacy. I think they saw that in me, and we built trust with each other early, that through the meetings in the park and through going stuff together in the office, that they saw that I could build on their legacy ultimately. And it was a competitive process for the role.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going to have to ask them, though. I'm going to find out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I should have asked before, I think.
That's okay. Sometimes it takes a random guy from LinkedIn to give you an idea to make you do something. So I'm happy I could inspire some action.
No problem.
So if you were given, this is something cool that I just thought of as we were here, especially because you're like so far you haven't necessarily been like the 0 to 1 guy where you're just starting something out of nothing and then building it. You've taken things that are existing and take them to the next level.
For sure.
Right. So like more of like a 1 to 10 than a 0 to 1. Right. And if you were to take, let's say, a window cleaning company, I'm gonna ask. I think I'm gonna ask all the guests this going forward, especially because my little brother's in window cleaning.
Okay.
So if you were a challenge, you just got elected the CEO of a brand new window cleaning company. How would you grow it to multi-millions? And this is gonna be cool because I'm gonna ask every guest, and we'll mash it up together. What would be your kind of first steps, first couple moves? How would you take it?
The most important part to any business is to have recurring revenue. And whether it's in the media business or in the window cleaning business. And I think the mistake that a lot of companies make is they do one-off projects.
Okay.
Go and knock on the door. Can I clean your windows for you today? Hassle on price, or get the door slammed on you, move to the next. Instead, if I was running a window cleaning business, I would knock on some doors. I would pound the pavement for sure.
Okay.
All day. But I would offer a service, and that I will come every spring and every fall, and say if I was going to be charging $50, I would charge $40 a time, and I have them sign on as a long-term client.
Okay.
So you build up a steady flow of income to build your business from. So you spend less time pounding the pavement and more time generating revenue by servicing your clients. It's not dissimilar from what we do in that we want long-term contracts with clients that have a variety of revenue sources to allow for the ebbs and flows.
A variety of revenue sources for CO,
Yes.
or a variety of revenue sources for the client?
A variety of revenue sources for the company.
Okay.
So, if you're in the window washing business for residential,
Yeah.
okay, great. Well, in the fall, we also have an east-trough cleaning program.
Okay.
You've got a ladder, you're cleaning windows.
I got the relationship with the client already.
There you go. Okay, great. Well, you don't need that in the winter. Oh, great. We have a snow shoveling service too. And then you become a home maintenance company, an outdoor home maintenance company. That's what I would do.
That's how you'd approach it.
It is.
Okay.
And, that's what we're doing here in adding in new technology and adding in cloud partners and AI partners into our portfolio for clients.
Yeah.
And they start small, but they're adding on to an existing client base and set of services that allows us to grow
Yeah.
incrementally.
And that's a playbook that you implemented here, which is cool because you looked at the product suite. And is that where you started? You started at product.
I started at product.
And do you think you've got like a unique product kind of lens, unique product hat on?
I think we have a unique offering in the Canadian marketplace as an agency.
Yeah.
And I've been able to look at products and clients, whether it's back to servicing not-for-profits or my time at IBM or my time at Mindshare, to see hundreds of organizations and how they're structured and how they build things and how they sell things. We carve our products out or develop them. They have to be sellable, and which means they have to have need to a client. And we have to be able to generate some revenue from them to cover our costs or improve margin.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to what I said about the technology world is you can build anything. And you can connect any two things together. And daring to dream about it or having the opportunity and having the teams and the clients and resources to do it is fun.
Yeah.
Our clients love it, and hopefully our teams do like it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about being an entrepreneur, running a company, is being able to create things like that. To me, it's the most fun.
Yeah. Like being able to imagine something and say, you know what, let's implement this.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going about listening? So let's say, for instance, you've got an array of clients. I'm not sure how many you guys got, probably in the hundreds, thousands or so.
Oh no, we have 25 clients.
You have 25 clients.
Like 25 brands that we work with.
Brands. Okay.
And within their organizations, there could be between 1 and 50 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And these, so how do you go about, 25 clients, and you guys are, I'm not going to say that, we're not talking about the revenue number, but I think I was talking to Robin earlier, and she's like, we're the leader in the space, or at least one of.
We're the leading independent media agency in this space. And the thing is, as I said about the base of any growth plan is existing clients.
Okay.
There's a capacity within people to do the work.
Yeah.
And so we want to work with larger clients
Okay.
who have ambition.
Mm-hmm.
And well, they have to have ambition. Mm-hmm. And then as we progress as a company, the size of our clients are getting bigger.
Wow.
For sure.
Interesting. So just 25 of them and dozens of millions of revenue, which I think is so cool. Mm-hmm. So like how many different, I guess there's 5 different products from planning, placement, execution-ish?
Yeah. How many different products would we have? Well, it's revenue streams is how I would look about it.
Okay.
And so I can't give away all the secret sauce.
That's okay, man.
But having different revenue streams in different skills and in different services is important.
Okay.
Similar to the eaves troughs, windows, and snow shoveling.
Okay.
You have the same client, but they have all those needs.
Okay.
And you're adding in those services as you go.
So let's say you're starting, so 0 to 1, right? I know you're a 1 to 10 guy, and you
5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a 5 to 10 guy.
Yeah.
Now let's say if you've just passed the 0 to 1 and you're trying to go from 1 to 5. Okay, so you're at this point where you specialize in a couple handful of things, maybe 1 or 2, and now the way you could either go get more clients for the same 1 or 2 things, right, and just practice the one punch, right, 1,000 times, or you could learn a couple different punches. Like, what do you think should be a priority? How would you more so? Because it's going to be different for everybody, right? But how would you go about identifying what your priority should be?
I would much rather develop services to provide more to the existing 25.
Okay.
I would much rather do that.
Why is that? Because you're an advertising guy. The business is get more customers. Right?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But the most important part, providing good service leads to good reputation.
Okay.
And having a long-term relationship with the client is critical to our success.
Okay.
For sure. And I would prioritize that over a new client any day.
Wow. So you introduce a new service now, right? So we have our 25 existing clients and we're like, we're going to introduce this new service.
Yep.
Does now all of a sudden your change management framework come into play? Like, how do we implement,
so,
because let's say for instance, you're like, hey, we do media buying. Now all of a sudden we want to offer videos, for example. Yeah. And you're like, but we suck at videos. So but buy our videos so that we could get better as we service you, right? Talk to me about that balance.
For sure. And so we've done this a couple of times since I've been here.
Yeah.
And it's going to a client to say, okay, well, we're going to develop a product that's into this thing. We need a beta partner.
Okay.
Will you help us build this product?
Wow.
We will charge you nothing or very little to do it.
Okay.
And we're going to develop some capabilities.
Wow.
And then you develop capabilities.
Okay.
And then maybe you charge a bit more the next time or that time, but you have to have proficiency in order to sell a service.
Understood.
And having good relationships with clients who trust you and being able to go to them to have an honest discussion. The mistake would be to say, I have this amazing thing. It's going to crush.
Okay.
And I'm going to charge you. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
And then you fail.
Okay.
That would be disastrous.
Reputation out the window.
Reputation out the window. All the other revenue out the window.
Out the window.
You should be fired.
They don't even want you as a client anymore.
Right.
Because you tried to do this cherry on top thing, or you screwed up the cake.
Yeah, you need the cake first.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then when you go to and talk, so once you develop the skill or proficiency or product, when we talk to new clients, and that does happen. We've added in a number of new clients since I've been here.
Yeah.
We have these services available.
Okay.
But being honest to say, okay, we're developing this or this is new is important. In the advertising industry, reputation and relationships are everything.
Everything.
I think as in every business.
For every business, yeah.
And so we want to make sure that the work that we put out in the market meets our standard. Yeah. Which is it delivers results for clients and is of good value to them.
Yeah. What are you most proud of so far that you've built here? You've inspired some cool questions today, man. Thank you.
What am I most proud of? I'm incredibly proud of the team. for them really, trusting me and agreeing to work with me. I'm grateful for that. And I think on the quantitative side of thing, we have a very low turnover rate.
Clients or employees?
Employees.
Or both, probably.
And clients too, yeah. We have a very low turnover rate compared to what would happen as a norm in the industry.
Yeah.
A norm in our industry would be, say, a 25 or 30% turnover within a year,
Okay.
which is difficult.
Yeah. Expensive.
Our turnover is, 1 or 2 people leave a year.
Wow. Under 60, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's good. And so I'm proud of that. That means that we're giving them an opportunity to grow their careers. We're compensating them for their work, and we're letting them fulfill their ambition, I hope.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is helping people with that.
Yeah. What do you think you've been to like 4 or 5 different ad agencies, before running this one, ran one, worked at 3, I think, is that?
More or less.
More or less.
Yeah.
What do you think is the favorite element from each that you learned that you carried into the culture, the team, product, etc.? Less product, more culture and team, team ops, etc.
It's a different world now because of COVID and a lot of remote working.
Okay.
And all those other agency environments would have been in office Monday to Friday, from whenever to whenever. My previous job at Mindshare, I would easily be in the office 10, 12 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was part of the job. It's a different world now, a different culture that exists in advertising and in our office as well.
Okay.
But I don't know if I could pick out one from each of them individually in my mind.
Yeah.
But I learned that in advertising, there is a lot of amazingly talented and fascinating people from all different walks of life who may not all be into cycling.
Yeah.
They might be into something else, but they're all really curious people who have skill and talent, and you can make lifelong friends with people. I do have 1 or 2 friends from every place that I've worked with in my career that I'm still friends with to this day.
Yeah.
And who I count as key confidants and friends.
What are you most curious about? You mentioned time and time again throughout this interview and discussion that, it takes curiosity. And what types of things what types of itches are you scratching right now in terms of curiosity and learning?
I've been spending a lot of time learning about different artists, musicians, and how they approach the creative process. Oh, goodness, no.
Oh, okay.
I have a few talents, but musically, I have very few. But I really admire the creative process they go through.
Okay.
And so, whether musicians or filmmakers, and so I've been reading a couple of books by movie producers or movie directors, or books by artists, and how they go through the creative process and how they think. The Rick Rubin quote on the wall.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A great music producer who views his job as to unlock creativity from artists. And I just really admire their thought process and how they go about things with such an open mind, yet with a specific creative vision about what they want to have accomplished.
Okay.
It's a tremendous balance to me. And I think a movie director is the same.
Wow. Well, I think the person who runs a company is an artist as well. And I think what you've built is art. And, I appreciate you being so open to sharing your art with the world and, sharing a little bit of your perspective, a little bit of your journey, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead.
Well, I really enjoyed the discussion. So
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, I'm honored. And that's another episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K. But before we go, where can we find you? Where can we learn a little bit more about you? Drop your LinkedIn. I mean, we'll put it in the show notes, but maybe you could just tell them a little bit about where they can find you and dive into the ecosystem a little more.
Yeah, so I do share a lot of articles on LinkedIn. It's just Devon MacDonald.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. And I'm on Instagram, but I just take photographs. There's nothing dramatic there. But LinkedIn is a place where I share content or publish items.
Cool.
And I'm accessible there.
Awesome.
It's the best way to contact
Well,
me.
we'll be happy to put the links in the show notes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the things.
That's great.
Thank you so much. And just like that, that's another episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K, the show where we're on the hunt to find 100 different ways to make 100 grand in a month. I'm your host, Javon.ca, and we were lucky enough to feature none other than the legendary Devon MacDonald. Devon, thanks so much.
Thank you. I'm Devon MacDonald, the president of Cairns Oneil. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K.